Hello, everyone, and happy Sunday. I'm Rachel, a radical soul untangled. Well, it's time for another one of our weekly angelic energy spreads to take an idea of what kind of energies we should start working on in our week and probably well beyond. It seems to be a very uplifting reading so far, but there's still a lot of work that we need to do, of course. But we don't need to shy away from it. It's a lot less to do this kind of spiritual work, and in some ways it's a lot easier than the work that we're expected to do to work hard in the physical world. However, since we're not used to it, it feels a little harder. And we're also, I think the real challenge with spiritual growth for me, especially once you get to a certain point, is that you're trying to reconcile all this new energy that you've been upgrading, and but you're still having to deal with these old energies in the world and the people around you, and that's where it really starts to get challenging. But this reading seems very uplifting and very reassuring that we're on the right track. And so we have the reminder here that we have the sacred plan. So this is to remind you that when things seem to go awry in your life, when things don't seem to go according to your plan, what you had in mind for your future, trust that that is for your highest good, that fell away or that didn't work out. Don't get stuck in ruminating on that or think about what you did wrong or how you screwed up. Now, it's one thing if it's something that's just like a small setback, but if it just feels like the harder you try to keep something together or bring something about, the further you're pushing it away or the faster it starts to fall apart, then that's a clear sign from the divine, and not just external divine. When I say divine, I also mean your soul, your higher self, the divine within you. So these plans aren't something that are imposed upon you externally against your will or without your knowledge or consent. These are actually plans that your soul has for you. And so that's where I think people get tripped up when they say, well, everything has a plan, everything has a reason, and people get mad because they think, well, what about my plan? Why do I have to do what God plans for me, what the universe plans for me? What about my hopes, my dreams? It's really your soul. And the more anger and resentment you have towards God and the universe about your material, plans, your relationship plans, your family plans, what have you, not working out as you had hoped or dreamed, the more that means that you are not in connection with the divine within you. And the less connected you really are to your soul. You're maybe just doing what you think will bring you success, that you think will bring you material abundance, but you're not doing something that your heart is really focused on. You're working at it like, well, I'm going to go to this college and then I'm going to get this major, not because it's what I want to study, but it's because that is what in the future is projected to be a very lucrative career. When I was a kid, in the 90s, it was everybody go get a degree in computers, computer science or programming or coding or graphic design, because that's the future. The internet is a brand new thing. So, yeah, but that's 4 years. They're telling you do this, start working on this thing now, and because right now it's hot, but 4 years later, it's like, well, everybody else is doing that. So that's what I mean by like earthly plans. You're trying to go by a book that was written by people probably decades before you were ever born, and that's why they fall apart. It's because your soul's like, no, man, no, we've got something so much greater in store. So this is saying there's a divine plan. Stop resisting. And again, this sacred plan for you is not something that is being imposed on you externally. this is what your soul wants for you. And in order to make yourself receptive to what the messages your soul is telling you, it's saying, do the work. And what does that mean, do the work? That means open your heart. You see here, he's kind of cradling his, I would say heart chakra, but that's more of the Merkaba, which are, oh, here are these little guys here. I'll hold this yellow one too. And this is like an energy field that surrounds the body, and when you get to a certain point of spiritual growth, it's hypothesized or theorized that this thing spins and looks like a glowing orb and is, I don't know if that's necessary. I think it's still separate from your aura. I haven't done a lot of in-depth research on it, but it basically, it's kind of like a spiritual engine that gets kicked on when you have a certain degree of alignment, if that makes sense. But yeah, so do the work. So he's opening his heart, and also there's a lot of yellow in this card. So there's a lot of this solar plexus energy, this golds and yellows, just reminding you to that you're in your own power. You're in your I am power. Like, I know who I am. I know what is right for me. I feel it in my body when something is good for me or bad for me. And a little bit of orange here too, like a peach color, a lighter orange. So I take this to mean like a creative, more inspired kind of creativity, being receptive to your intuition, being receptive to that rather than a sexual energy. I pick up more of a very fiery, creative drive. This is a softer creativity due to being receptive to intuitive inspiration is kind of what I take that to mean. And so that means do the work can mean anything for you, what works for you spiritually, but meditation, obviously a big one, just to quiet your mind. Because when you quiet your mind, you're not thinking the thoughts that have been programmed into you through society. And you get to listen to your soul more. You get to understand what the sacred plan is for you. You start to accept when things don't work out for you. Practicing a non-judgmental aspect, being less judgmental, and not just on others, but on yourself. And again, just trusting that when things don't work out, you can be disappointed. You can be sad and frustrated even, but try to come back to as quickly as possible, accepting those results. Don't keep resisting them. Don't keep fighting them, and make yourself open to new opportunities should they arise. And also, and again, going off that, being open to new opportunities. Say yes more often to things. When you have a lack mentality, meaning we're overly preoccupied that we don't have enough money, we don't have enough resources, we don't have enough time, we don't have enough energy, when we keep rationing out things excessively. We say no to sometimes the simplest little pleasures, but the more times we say no to simple little pleasures or simple little, not even pleasures, but just gestures of kindness. How many times has somebody offered you something and your first reaction is to say, no thanks? You need to start asking yourself why you do that. Is it because you're afraid that puts you in that person's debt, or that you're going to look needy, or that you're going to look greedy, or that they're going to use that against you? Are there those kind of reasons? Why aren't you saying yes when somebody just offers you a piece of candy, or to grab you a snack or something, or a drink or anything like that? Are you afraid that you're imposing on them? And so there's a lot of reasons to investigate take maybe a quick stock and how often you say no to simple little things. And see, when we deny ourselves so much, that's when we get into that sudden need to overly self-indulge. So we deprive ourselves, no, I shouldn't do this, no, I shouldn't eat out this time, no, I shouldn't, take that offer, no, no, no. And then all of a sudden it's like, I'm going to drink all day, or I'm going to binge watch all these, you get stuck in these cycles of deprivation and then overindulgence. So say yes more often, not just to those little gestures, especially little gestures of kindness that people offer you. Would you like a drink? Would you like a snack? Would you like a bite? Would you like a piece of gum? Little things like that. If part of you wants it, but your initial knee-jerk reaction is to say no, really reflect on why that is. And challenge yourself. Maybe challenge yourself. I feel like this is a challenge to let yourself say yes and accept that and see how rainbow, again, a lot of yellow. All these cards have a lot of yellow. So a lot of knowing who you are, a lot of self-confidence is being summoned up in this reading. And also a lot of rainbow energy here, meaning like a real sense of alignment. And that actually saying yes, I heard earlier this week somebody saying yes is actually our natural state. It's like our natural default setting. We've been programmed in society to say no, to think we have to earn things, to think we're not inherently deserving or worthy of good things unless we've earned them. So investigate that impulse when you have the impulse to say no to something. Investigate if it has to do with your sense of worthiness, because you are worthy. The angels are saying, yes, you're worthy. Yes, you deserve good things. Yes, you should accept, gestures of kindness and offers more. And also, there might be big decisions that you're afraid to say yes to because of all the changes that might be involved. But deep down, you know that's what you want, but you're afraid of losing maybe the current comfort level you have, or the potential instability that yes might cause by accepting a new job, or changing directions in your career, or getting out of a relationship that's not serving you anymore, or anything like that. If you feel in your heart that this is the right thing for you, say yes to it. That's what I feel like they're saying here. And who's here to help us with these energies, bring these energies in? So for the sacred plan, we have Goddess of Psychic Protection. What you believe, you create. So no one can harm you. And this might be like, well, wait, what? But yeah, this is a card reminding you of your sovereignty, your spiritual sovereignty, that I don't believe that there are demons, like external demons that are after people that try to harm them, or that you can be a victim of a psychic attack, and or things like that, unless part of you believes you deserve it, or you believe that there are demons that are after you, or that people are beaming negative energy at you. People can be in their own negative energy, and you might be in a place where you're still very receptive to that and you take that on. But I don't think anybody can just like focus it at you. And even if you're in a really stable place, it won't affect you. So whenever you do start to feel that sense of being psychically or spiritually, energetically attacked or drained deliberately by someone else, this is just a reminder that you have your own sovereignty. That as you get in your own power, as you do the work that puts you in your own power, you don't get that drained feeling so much anymore. You start to realize, you start to see people when they operate in their triggers. As you get your triggers under control, you get to see you're not blinded by your own triggers when people work and operate out of their triggers, and you get to go, oh wow, I can see how they're like a 10-year-old right now, where they're kind of behaving like a petulant teenager right now. It's not me. Something that they perceive from me is putting them in their trigger. And so you don't feel so affected by their energy anymore. So this is to remind you that, yeah, no one can really harm you in that sense unless you allow it. And sometimes by allow it doesn't mean like you say yes consciously, but energetically you've got some, let's just say you got some leaks, you know, in your own energy field. You're still have some unhealed wounds, unhealed triggers. And so which goes, actually, now that I realize it, very closely with this next one, Angel of Healing. The angels have felt your sadness and have shown up today to send you healing. I love that in this card, the healing angel is masculine, and he's working to help heal the feminine. And it looks like he almost has his hand like in her solar plexus chakra. So like he's helping her heal her sense of confidence. And we have a lot of yellow energy here, but some green and blues. And he's also like, I think it's interesting. This artist has a tendency to show like beams coming either from people's eyes or their third eye, and it's just like he can like see the energy fields in her and just can tell where she's having like, you know, an energy congestion in her energy, where the energy is not flowing or where it's dark, if you can like read auras or things like that. And it's like he knows exactly where to go to help work the energy to help open that person up. But yeah, I love that this is a masculine angel, I guess because healing is often seen as the domain of the feminine in a lot of ways. But the masculine, once they're healed, once they're in their alignment, once they're in their integrity, you know, they can take healing actions as well. And they can help heal in a way that's different from the feminine, that has more of a action-oriented modality, whereas like the feminine energy is more nurturing, supportive, you know, a receiving energy, receiving this healing, receiving these energies. The masculine is more like giving these energies, you know, helping work through like these energy congestions and things like that. At least that's my interpretation of that. So if you heal yourself, you know, and that's part of doing the work, you know, you're less, you have this goddess of, you actually become this goddess of psychic protection. She's becomes like integrated with you, you know. And then we have Angel of Union, which again, yes, you have, in order to have a sense of union, and again, the Lovers comes up later, and also this 10 of Pentacles and this Sun. So in order to have this union, you have to be open to saying yes to new things, new experiences. A partnership is blessed and destined for greatness. But I also take this union to be, and it's, oh, there's a lot of red. So this is a lot of root chakra. So this is when you have that feeling of security in yourself, in your body, when you feel safe in your own body, safe in your environment, no matter where you are, even if you're walking in a, you know, bad neighborhood at midnight, a mile to get to your house from the bus stop, like I had to, if you're secure enough in your root chakra, you feel safe anywhere, and people can pick up on that, and no one's gonna really fuck with you on that walk, because they could just tell you're secure, you're not an easy target, you're not in a fear mentality. So that's where I see that's the root chakra. Also that flower just has like the 4 petals on the inside, and that reminds me of the root chakra as well. And yeah, to get into a union, to be in any kind of relationship, you have to say yes more often than no. Say no to protect your boundaries and such when necessary, But overall, you want to say yes. Yes to new experiences. Yes to meeting new people. Yes to, uh, dealing with emotional conflict when it comes up in a constructive, positive, loving, nurturing way. And also this, I take this to mean an internal union with yourself. So I take this to also mean like an embracing of your masculine and feminine attributes, not necessarily as a gender identity, but I mean the yin and the yang energy, the receptive energy and the giving energy, the bodily energy and the more, cerebral energies, the the creative potential energy and the creative kinetic energy. So that when you have that union can also be an integration of those energies within you. And I would argue that you have to have that before you can some degree of that within yourself before you can have a healthy reciprocating relationship, as opposed to something that's more codependent or a karmic relationship. Oh boy, 20 minutes in. Now we get to go to the actual tarot spread. And I did a bottom of the deck energy, and this seems very appropriate, ego. Now this is what is normally called the devil card in other decks. But in this deck they call it ego, and they invoke the Archangel Michael. And you see he's shattering the chains of ego, and this card reminds you that ego gives you this illusion of being trapped, this victim mentality, this helpless mentality, this oppressed mentality, all comes from ego, or is devil energy. If somebody who reads a lot of tarot says like, oh, that's some serious devil energy, they're not saying it's a demonic energy that is external. We're saying that it's external in the sense that it was programmed into you through society. I'm saying that a lot in this reading. But it was something that was put into you through society, through culture and all that. But where was I going with this? But it's still an illusion. So this illusion of being trapped. Accept responsibility for your situation, then make choices that support your path to happiness. Addictions or unhealthy habits. So that's what I mean by social programming. The addictions, unhealthy habits, like what I was saying here, where it's like you deprive yourself so much by saying no on a regular basis, and you don't say yes enough, that eventually all those times you've deprived yourself build up, and then you start to overly self-indulge, and then you're like, oh man, I spent way too much money on that. Oh, I shouldn't have, made that big extravagant purchase. Or I was trying to treat myself and I just got in a little over my head, because you don't have a sense of balance with that. So I like that Archangel Michael, because he's like the protector, and he's like a angel of truth. So he's shattering, these bonds, and she's got a blindfold, but it's actually a pretty sheer blindfold, if you can tell. And so it's like she could open her eyes and see through it, or at least start to see through it. So but he's freeing her. The truth sets you free. I basically take that for this. I also have a Capricorn symbol, and I guess that's because Capricorn is what? Earth energy. It's the cardinal earth energy, and it tends to be associated with like people who have a mentality of like material accumulation, wealth accumulation, like to a degree where it can be kind of obsessive, and like an avarice mentality, because that's what cardinal energy is. It's kind of like it's the starting energy. So it's the earth starting energy, kind of focused on gathering materials, gathering resources, and can, in a egoic sense, be turned to hoarding very easily if you're not careful. So I think that's why they have the Capricorn symbol there. It's kind of considered potentially the greediest sign there. I don't really know that many Capricorns though, but the couple that I know of offhand are lovely people. But I don't think I've dated any. So that's the overall energy, is that this idea of freeing yourself from ego. because you're starting to get aligned with this sacred plan. You're starting to do the work. You're starting to say yes more. Those are all energies that will free you from ego, but you have to do the work. So part of the sacred plan. So clarifiers for the sacred plan. We've got these 3 cards here. But first we'll do the moon. So the moon is listen to your intuition and pay attention to signs from the divine. Unnecessary worry. Let go of your fears, revelations that will make everything clear. So the moon is, yes, very much associated with illusion or intuition. So you can get kind of, I think I've said this before if you've watched my other readings, but the moon can be like, think of it when you're taking a walk outside at night, and especially if you're out in like the woods or something, and when you see something moving, along a trail or something, or you hear something, does your mind go to, oh my God, it's a bear that's going to eat me? Or does it go to like, oh, might be something small, or might be the breeze? Where does your mind go? Does it go to the worst case scenario when things aren't clear, when things aren't brightly lit up, when there's some ambiguity? Does your mind automatically go to the worst case scenario, or does it just try to observe and take things as they are and accumulate knowledge, or go off your intuition and listen with your heart more and just say, okay, I think that's probably, I still feel safe. I don't feel any reason to be afraid. So no reason to be afraid. Because a lot of times when you have that knee-jerk fear, that's a trigger. If your first reaction is automatically fear, you're working in a trigger. So yes, you pay attention for signs from the divine. So this is the yes energy and the sacred plan, because the sacred plan is going to actually need you to say yes more often than you say no. When you say no, you're actually probably gonna have to say no to things that you really like, that you really want, that you would normally do. And you have to say no as in breaking those old patterns that are keeping you stuck. But you have to look out for things and say yes a little more often than you normally would to new things, new experiences, new directions, things that don't necessarily even make conscious, rational sense. Where somebody says, why'd you do that? If you can't really, something you can't instantly justify, but with time, it doesn't necessarily have to be a lot of time, but with time, it will be like, oh, that's why. And some energies that could hinder the sacred plan. These 2 came out together. We got 10 of Wands, working too hard or too many hours, the need for balance in life, let others help you, health problems due to stress. And we have the 2 of Swords. So unable or unwilling to make a decision. Follow your heart rather than trying to make others happy. Pretending there's no problem, overanalyzing a situation. So this is basically saying you're over-efforting, too much effort, conscious effort, physical effort. This is you trying to stay more in the energy of, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what was in the books at school. This is what I was told will make me successful. And you're working at it, and you're working at it, and you're working at it, and you're feeling depleted, and you're feeling exhausted. So this is what I would call over-efforting, putting way too much effort in. And then this is overthinking, or too much self-doubt. If you have a question or a dilemma and you find yourself going to like half a dozen friends or family members trying to get their input, and you still feel lost and confused, that's when you need to do the work and go within. Like I said, it could be people pleasing, but usually I take this to mean that, yeah, you're plagued by indecision because you don't know how to listen to your intuition. You're still in your head more. And again, there's kind of like this, there's usually this blindfolded, this figure's usually blindfolded, or here she's kind of veiled. So it's more like she has obscured vision. She's not blinded. But yeah, it's this, and it's also usually a false dilemma. It's like, well, I either can do this. I could either go back to school or stay a housewife. I could either do this job or do this other job, or I could stay in this relationship or be homeless. Like, those are my only two choices. Those are my only two options. So it's for me, it's also like a tunnel vision. So those are energies that you have to understand that, will work against the sacred plan. So whenever you feel in this indecisive energy, that's a reminder to drop into your intuition more by, opening your heart, by meditating more, doing some, like, chakra meditations, chakra work to open your heart chakras, all of them, but especially the heart. And you'll start to understand that there's a difference between intuition and your head. Your intuition is going to be like a yeah or a no, and it's not going to have a lot of emotional charge. If a thought comes to you and it has like a lot of emotional energy in it, and especially if it's fear energy. If you have this thought and it makes you go right away, that's actually ego. That's actually coming from your head rather than your heart. And again, this is reminding you to get help when you need it, find more balance, take some more time off. This is the energy of thinking that hard work automatically brings success, but I feel like that paradigm is quickly falling apart for most people. And so we have to do the work in order to get, through that. And by doing the work, we have the Four of Swords. I really like this card. The swords are in the stained glass, and it's like a halo for her. Oh, it says peace there. I didn't get that. It says peace in Latin, but I really like this version of the Four of Swords. And that is insights that come from meditation, the need to rest or take a vacation. Allow yourself more time before making a decision. Mental exhaustion, get more sleep. So, this is usually, I think I explained this in the last reading, because I think this came up in the previous cycle breaker. And I feel like this is a very good uplifting message. If you saw that cycle breaker video that I just did, and this seems to like kind of support it in the energies we kind of need to bring in and focus on, and kind of a reminder of what we're working towards, why we want to break those cycles and how we're going to break those cycles. So we have this, and I love that she's got this armor and it's put aside. So she's de-armored herself and she's meditating. You don't necessarily have to sit this way to meditate. I just know that that's like a shorthand for meditation. But yeah, it's Four of Swords is also kind of like a recovery or a recuperative energy usually after heartbreak or extreme disappointment, like if this is hot on the heels of the Three of Swords energy. So we have that. So that's the mental exhaustion part. Maybe you've just had this profound disappointment, or something just really fell through for you, or you've had a tower moment, where it just feels like everything's just come crashing down in your life. This is the card of recuperation and convalescence, even, but usually like in a more emotional, psychological sense of convalescence. Could be physical, but I take it to mean more like mental and emotional. And I also kind of call this, start calling this like the precursor to the Hermit. So this is where you're still in that more wounded place and you're recovering from those wounds. And then you can go into the Hermit energy after that and really reflect and really transmute the pain that you suffered, and work through it and transmute that into a new understanding, a new energy for you. And we have the Lovers. And again, this is another say yes kind of energy, because like I said, in order to have a union, you have to be open to saying yes. And Lovers also requires saying yes. Embrace true love and deep, intimate friendships. Make choices from the heart. Vibrant health or recovery from an illness. Again, so that even kind of goes, like I said, Four of Swords isn't necessarily a physical recuperation, but it can be, because usually that also involves an emotional or psychological element anyway. But yeah, so we have the Lovers. And this is also Gemini energy for your Gemini there. And so a lot of green. The green heart chakra is Archangel Raphael. He seems to kind of like be the heart healer and energy of I think in this book he said something like he's kind of like the marriage counselor or the relationship therapist of the archangels that you can invoke when you're having want some more clarity or praying for guidance in a relationship. But yeah, also the lovers is also about choices. Again, we have like Gemini, so we have like the twins, so and but choices made, like I said, from the heart. Make choices from the heart. This is more of you're still in your head and you're still not sure and you have a false dilemma. This is more like exploring your options kind of choices and not being so. This is also has a lot of fear. This Two of Swords has a lot of fear of making the wrong choice. And this is more like, well, whatever choice, I'll learn something from it. Eventually, even if, okay, this didn't work out how I'd hoped, there's kind of like this knowing that, this acceptance that even if it doesn't go how I hoped, it's still going to serve me in some way for my growth, for my betterment. Rather than this fear like, oh, what if I do this and that's a bad choice? What if I do this and that's the wrong choice? What if this happens when I make this? Or what, that's Two of Swords energy. Lover's choice energy is more balanced. So, and then finally, to wrap up this reading, we'll go with the energies of yes. So yeah, if you say yes more, this 10 of Pentacles, I just kind of laughed that came out like, okay, well, let's clarify this yes. Oh, yep, obviously. Obviously, you'll have a lot more abundance because your yes means you're more open to opportunities. You're more open to potential offers. Anytime you say no, no's are mostly from fear energy, from a fear of change, from a fear of instability or a lack of confidence in yourself. To change, if you change things up, fear that it'll all fall apart. So you want to keep stable with how things are. And that's probably why you say no, but saying yes is almost certainly going to bring you more financial security for yourself and your family, inheritance or retirement, peace and contentment in life, honoring family traditions, pride in the family tree, passing on knowledge. So this is also a legacy card. So also when you say yes and you're more positive, that reflects not just on yourself and your life and your material abundance, but in like a legacy that you leave, not just for your family, but even for your community. As you do well, so long as you're not in this egoic hoarding mindset or this overworking mindset, the more you do well, the more you really genuinely thrive, well, the more you're going to uplift the people around you, the more you're going to be able to help people around you in an effective way. And the more you're going to be able to contribute back into your community. And like I said, this more positive energy, that's going to flow down to your children and how they raise their children to be more trusting, more receptive, have more faith, not just in the divine, but in themselves, to trust to manifest. And there's a lot of green here in the plants and stuff, but that's like, you have to, it's kind of just a reminder, you have to have this open heart to bring in this abundance. You have to be open to saying yes again. And this is like a pillar, these 10 pentacles or coins. They're, it supports you, it supports your family, it supports your community, it supports all that you love. So don't think about just yourself, your true thriving. Get out of this ego energy of hoarding and accumulating, and this overworked energy where you feel like, oh, if I just work harder, if I just work harder, if I just work harder. You just say yes more. You just open your, work on your intuition so that you can make judgments from your heart instead of out of fear. you will have more abundance, material abundance, leave a good solid legacy for your family, that one that they can be proud of. And then also the sun. So a time for great joy and success. Brilliant epiphanies that lead to magical opportunities. Plans that work out perfectly. Gratitude for the divine. I like this hourglass here because that makes me think of divine timing, which is, again, people think of divine timing. They think that God has this like specific like watch for them. It says, no, 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 you're not supposed to get that until September. You're not supposed to, like the do not open till Christmas. That's what people sometimes think when there's talk about divine timing. And they try to think of, well, how do I speed up divine timing? No, divine timing just means when you are getting yourself into alignment, the more you're in your own alignment with your soul, the more you're following your soul desires, the more things come to you, and they come to you more quickly because you're in that alignment. If it's not coming to you as quickly as you want, no matter how hard you work, that's a sign that you are not in alignment. But then also there's the reminder that if you have a really tall order, if you're really getting the handle on manifestation and you've had a few little things work out for you pretty quickly, you start to, make bigger and bigger requests. But then you start to get a little discouraged or confused. But you have to remember, bigger requests have more components moving, have more things that have to get into alignment and require more people to be receptive and in a receptive mode to their own souls, and to get those things flowing for you. So it tends to take time. The bigger the order, the bigger the desire you have, the more elaborate thing you have. It's going to take more time, but you just have to have faith that it'll come, that joy and success is coming. And he's got fire, and he's got a scroll here. So the sun is masculine energy. The sun is usually just generally considered the masculine because it the light and the heat are considered, like that kind of goes with the yang energy. And also the like Apollo, the god Apollo is kind of evoked here, I think, with that sun symbol. And we have the Archangel Uriel here, and he's kind of like, I don't say God's like enforcer, but he kind of makes things really happen, and kind of makes things happen like quick, like that. So yeah, this is saying just be kind of, and also to practice your gratitude in the divine. But this doesn't necessarily mean, oh God, thank you for giving me this. You say like, oh wow, thank you for, like, to your higher self, your greater self, whatever you want to call that, or your soul. Go like, oh, thank you for giving me that little ping to do this thing, and for all those other opportunities that came from it. So again, you have to be open to saying yes to get to this goal. And as things start to manifest quickly, and you have like these brilliant epiphanies, or what a lot of people call downloads, or upgrades, like spiritual upgrades. Just all of a sudden, you'll start getting like pings, what I call pings of insight, where it's just like ping, oh, wow, here's a fully formed thought, here's a fully formed epiphany. That's another way you can tell it's intuition, where you're not going, You're just kind of sitting there chopping vegetables, cooking, or cleaning around your house and vacuuming. And then all of a sudden it's like, ping, oh, wow, there's a profound truth I suddenly have access to that I wasn't even thinking of at this moment, but it's fully formed and it makes perfect sense. You might not even be able to have words to it, but you just have like this flash of insight, this flash of deep understanding. And again, all of this comes from being open to say yes and trusting that there's a sacred plan that's, again, not imposed on you by external forces. It's something your soul agreed to. And other souls are out there they cooperate, because even though they all have their own different plans, they all kind of have the same ultimate I'll say ultimate goal, but it's mutually beneficial forever. There's no sense of competition on a soul level. So no soul is going on it. When people are in their souls, they're not gonna sabotage each other because there's no competition. The fun of the game is for everyone to succeed and evolve and to grow. And so you follow your sacred plan from your soul, other people follow their sacred plan for their soul, and when your souls meet up, they will actually, and say yes, they will actually collaborate for you to have more abundance, for you to have this great success and wonderful joy, these epiphanies coming in, and just opportunities start flowing in. And it really does happen. It takes some work to get to that, some meditation, some reflection, taking off your armor, both your emotional armor and your like spiritual armor, your psychic armor, your armor around your heart, the armor around your mind that keeps you saying, well, I need to have all this proof first in order to trust. I need to trust. That's Two of Swords thinking. Thinking I need to have all the facts, I need to have all the studies, and I need to ask 50 friends what they think about this before I make this decision. No, you just go within, you just reflect, you recuperate, you heal. This one goes with that healing energy. So focus on your healing, and your intuition will strengthen, and abundance will just start to flow in. So I hope that helped. I hope this reading, gives you something to focus on for the week coming up. And if you'd like a personal reading, please contact me, let me know. And anyway, thank you so much for listening. My name's Rachel. I'm a Radical Soul Untangled, and so are you. Take care.